Welcome back, my beautiful people of the fog, and welcome to another Dead by Daylight video. Now, this isn't going to be any type of survivor build or killer build. We're going to go over some of the big announcements that they made at their 3-year anniversary live stream that they just had just last night. From what they were saying, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that I'm not excited, because they did say some exciting things, from at least in my opinion, that I enjoyed hearing. Like I said yesterday, they just pretty much finished up with their 3-year anniversary live stream where they celebrated the 3 years of Dead by Daylight. Obviously, they had a little band and everything there. They had like a little, I don't know if it was just regular people in the audience or who the hell all the other people were, but they had a nice little audience there, and they went over pretty much what's coming up in the next year or so for Dead by Daylight. And I'm going to go over pretty much a little list of everything you might have missed if you didn't watch it or if you didn't catch it, because it was a long live stream. It was like, I think like 2.5 hours long or 2 hours long. I don't remember exactly how long. I did watch the whole thing. Bought some Chick-fil-A and sat back and watched some live streams from Dead by Daylight. Like I said, it was a good thing. The first thing that they were mentioning, they brought up this year 4 roadmap, which I'm going to put up on screen here in a second. And it was the first thing that they covered, and it was pretty much laying out exactly what's coming up in the next year. So let's go over what some of this looked like here. Let me pull it up here for myself. So obviously what we got coming on June 18th, and you can see each one of these brackets is about 6 weeks, because each chapter comes out every 3 months. So each one of these brackets, the chapter 12 is obviously coming June 18th when they're going to release Ghostface. Then you got the next bracket here, which is the rework for Freddy, so that would be about 6 weeks after that. And they're also, thank Christ, coming out with a new map layout for the Batum Preschool, which I'm going to bring up on screen right here. So let's take a look at this rework of the map here. So what we got is, it looks like the preschool now is going to be towards the top of the map here instead of being in the middle. It looks kind of, nothing really is changing here as far as what's on the map. It's just kind of how it's laid out, and I'm happy about this because, at least as a killer, when I play killer on preschool, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I don't usually do that well on here, just because there is a lot of long loops that survivors can use, especially if the survivor knows what they're doing and they know the map very well. That can take quite a while to down a survivor. The only way that it works out in your favor is if they make a mistake. But I'm happy for this new layout. I'm kind of excited to see how it's really going to look in game. I mean, obviously we got the map here where we can take a look at it. So they're also talking about, as far as map layouts, changing some of the pallet loops or just other loop spots, where instead of having 3 or 4 or 5 big value, or they were calling it big money value loops, where a survivor can feel safe because they can just consistently loop it like 2 or 3 times before the killer even is able to catch up to them to even get a hit off, that they're going to make it more skill based by adding multiple loops, smaller value loops, which I'm fine with, because I play Survivor as well, even though you wouldn't know it looking at my channel, because I haven't really posted any Survivor videos, but I will be soon. I just do enjoy playing killer a slight bit more. But yeah, I'm looking forward to these map reworks. They only talked about the preschool, but they did say that they would be adding other map reworks as they're brought to their attention if something's not right. They also said that they're going to be listening to the community more about things that are broken or exploitable. So that's good. It's nice to hear when developers talk about listening to the community, because that's basically, as a community, that's all we ask for, is that the devs listen, because we're the ones that play the game, so we know what's working and what's not working. I don't like when developers think that they know the game the best, and pretty much the hell what the community says. We don't care what they're saying. We know what's best. So I appreciate the fact that they're at least coming out and telling us that they care about what we're saying about their game. So after the Freddy rework and his map rework, we got Chapter 13. So we're gonna have a new killer, a new survivor, and a new map. That would probably be somewhere around September. Then we got the 6 weeks after that, we got the new archive system that they were talking about. So let's talk about the archive a little bit here. So during the live stream or whatever, the DBD team pretty much was talking about one of the biggest things that players have been kind of wanting and craving is basically more story and more lore for the game. So, you know, right now we don't really know that much about any of the characters, killers or survivors, honestly, aside from a little small, like, little biography that they have on them, where it gives you a little small backstory, and really that's not all that much. So with the new game mode, archives, it's pretty much going to be the player's chance to basically learn more about the backstory of our favorite DBD characters. There was a picture of it looked like, I'm pretty sure it was Claudette. She was like a baby, and then they had her parents there. There wasn't really much talking about it, but I mean, that just goes to show you that they're kind of going to be digging deep into these stories, which is good. You know, it's always nice to know the backstory of a character you're playing. It just adds more to the game, in my opinion. So I do like that aspect of it. We also got, as part of the archives, we got new quests and missions. So there's going to be like this blood web looking thing, where there's different quests and missions for players to pretty much try and complete. And then upon completing these, you're going to unlock blood points, new cosmetics. I don't remember what else they said, but I know there was more stuff besides just that. When I was looking on the screen, one of the missions or quests was that came up on the screen that was highlighted was, it said catch a survivor in a trap right after they vaulted. So obviously you put a trap down next to a window vault, they go to a window vault, the window, they get stuck in the trap, and boom, you've completed that mission, and you unlock whatever comes with it. So that was pretty cool. That you can also unlock charms. So these are basically little charms that you can equip either to a survivor on their belt, that we've seen in some screenshots. I'll see if I can pull one up here if I can find one. I think there was one of Dwight where he had all the charms here just hanging from his belt. And then also for killers, you can hang them. Obviously you don't hang them from your player, but you hang them from the hooks within the map, which is pretty cool, and you unlock these charms as you complete I think it was each difficulty of the archive web. So for each difficulty that you achieve, you gain another little charm. From what I was told and what I remember hearing, there was 4 difficulties for each archive, and even if you aren't able to complete all 4 of the archives before the next one launches, I'm pretty sure they said you'll still be able to access the old ones, pretty much forever. Like, they're not going to go away. So that's kind of nice. And then there was something about the Rift, which will come with the archive, but I believe they said it's only going to last 2 or 3 months. I think it was 3 months until the next archive comes. And basically the Rift is what allows you to unlock more cosmetics for the characters, which is great because someone like me, I have spent money on this game, don't get me wrong, but I don't really have the money to just be throwing, like $100 to get, 8 or 9, 10 cosmetics from the store. I would like to, because there's some pretty cool cosmetics in there for some of the killers and some of the survivors. But it is nice to see that they're going to have something where we can unlock other cosmetics in a different way without just having to spend money, but at least just by playing their game, on a regular basis, which I already do. I play the game every day, usually at least an hour or 2 a day. Most of the time it's more, because I'm just kind of attached to it. Like I said, I haven't been attached to a game like this since the heydays of Call of Duty. So that's saying something, because I used to be obsessed back when I was younger. So they haven't released a date for the archives yet, but from kind of what I was getting at, it's going to be somewhere around the chapter 13 release, which is going to be sometime in like September, I would assume. So we could look forward to seeing that right around the end of summer, beginning of fall, which is fine with me. I mean, it sucks having to wait for something that's new and different and sounds cool, but at the same time, you know, it gives you something to look forward to. When you don't have anything to look forward to in a game, it kind of takes away the appeal, you know. It's always good to have something to look forward to. I always say that to people in life, like, give yourself something to look forward to so that you're not just living day by day, like, waiting for the day to end and feeling like shit. So we come to the Freddy rework that we were talking about earlier, which will come sometime probably towards the end of July, beginning of August. The Dream Demon ability. So instead of pulling people into a dream state like he normally does, where he has to aim his power at you and then grab you out of it, basically everybody just goes through a sleep cycle. Now I don't really know if they mentioned how this works. I don't know if the more you're inside of his terror radius, or the closer he is to you, the more you become more and more into sleep, or if it just happens just regardless, you know, just over time, regardless of how far away he is or not. I'm assuming that's how it's going to work. Doesn't matter where he is, just because they didn't really. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they did not really specify how you consistently fall deeper and deeper into sleep. So the first sleep cycle was micro sleep. When the survivor is awake, pretty much Freddy will blink in and out of visibility, depending on how far away he is. They showed a clip of this where a survivor was working on a gen. He seen Freddy, and then as the further away Freddy walked away, at a certain distance he just vanished. It looked like it was probably about 24 or 32 meters. You know, your basic distance for most of these things. And I believe they said instead of having a terror radius when he's right next to you, you're going to hear the lullaby instead. I could be wrong. I have to might have to go back and rewatch what they were talking about then. Let me see if it's written here in my notes. No, I'm sorry. Instead of hearing the lullaby, they'll hear the terror radius. And Freddy himself now, even if you're not fully asleep, will just be able to hit survivors right away. You know, rather than them obviously having to be put all the way asleep. There's also a new sleep timer. So, like I said, survivors will fall asleep passively over time. So, yeah, I'm assuming that it doesn't matter how close he is. You're just going to wind up just falling asleep over time. And after you, as a survivor, fall asleep, Freddy will be visible to you completely. And, okay, so when you're fully asleep, that's when it is. When you're fully asleep, you're going to hear the lullaby no matter where he is. Or, I'm guessing if he's in 32 meters. Instead of hearing a terror radius, that way it'll be harder for you to kind of pick up where he is. As far as, when he's coming at you. So that, I've talked to a few people on social media, and the overwhelming majority of people said that he needed a rework. I have talked to a few Freddy mains myself. I have a friend, Leighton, who's a Freddy main, who said he didn't really need a rework in his opinion. At the same time, he's also not going to complain about it. Me personally, I don't have Freddy, so I can't really say how good or bad he was, because I played with him a few times, but it was only because I had I unlocked it in the Blood Web where I can play a trial with him, but again, I had no perks, no add-ons. I did wind up getting, I think, a 2 or 3K the few times I played as him, and then obviously the other couple times everybody got away, but at the same time, I felt like Freddy was a killer where if you had the right add-ons and the right perks and in the right hands, he can be extremely powerful. But again, that's 3 things that you need. You need all the right perks, you need really good add-ons, and then you need somebody who's really good with him. So you're not just going to have somebody just randomly get on, play with him 3 times, and be amazing with him. So obviously, it takes quite a bit of skill to play with him as he is now, and like I said, you need his powerful add-ons, and you need to level up his Blood Web quite a bit to unlock perks that are going to help you be successful with him. So, in my opinion, he kind of did need a rework. Is this rework overpowered? I mean, we're going to get more into what else is coming. I don't personally think so. I don't mind when the killers get a buff, even when I play a survivor, because they're supposed to be overpowered. I mean, it's 1 against 4. You know, is the killer more overpowered than one survivor by themselves, of course, and that's the way it should be. But if you have a 4 group survivor friends who are very good and know the map and know what they're doing very well, then the killer's not overpowered. Sometimes the survivors could be overpowered because they have the key thing of communication, which doesn't take up a perk slot. You know, it doesn't. The killer can't combat it. You know, once player A finds Hex Ruin, players B, C, and D have also found Hex Ruin. Especially if it's in a place that's easily describable, like if it's in the killer shack. Like, hey, the Hex Ruin's in the killer shack, in the corner behind the box, easy to find, or it's at the killer shack outside against the wall. You know, that's all easy. So I don't mind killers getting a buff, especially Freddy, because I've played against Freddy multiple times, and more times than not I do escape. Just especially before the end game started, where he was really weak, where you know you found the hatch, he would have to put you to sleep, and you just jump right in, boom, game over. So we also got the new sleep timer, which we went over. We also got Dream Object. So when you fall asleep, you can interact with this Dream Object device in order to wake yourself up, especially if you aren't able to find a survivor, or you know you can't find a generator close by to fail a skill check, or you know you're self-carrying and you miss a skill check. And apparently they were saying that even if you are fully asleep and you hop on a generator, or you're healing yourself or sabotaging a hook, that skill checks will not come up as frequently. So you most likely will have to use these little dream clocks that are located around the map, kind of like the Plague has her water cleansing fountains, and the Pig has her you know, jigsaw boxes. So that's kind of cool that you'll be able to wake yourself up without someone having to help you. And like I said, that isn't overpowered because, again, once you wake yourself up, you know you're right back into, you know, slowly falling back to sleep. So it should be interesting to see how this works. We also got his dream abilities. So he has dream pallets, which when you're playing as Freddy, you can place dream pallets on spawn points, you know, pretty much throughout the entire map. Awake survivors apparently will not be able to see these pallets, from what I was told. Only survivors who are asleep will be able to see these. And basically, it's kind of like how the doctor works, they were saying, where you see illusionary pallets. So that's kind of how this is going to work, only instead of seeing like a yellow illusionary where it looks like the pallet's already thrown down, it's basically going to look like a regular pallet where it's just, you know, standing up, like it looks like it could be used. And then when you go to use it, you throw it down, and then instead of blocking the killer, it just explodes into blood or whatever. So that's kind of cool. So when you're awake, you kind of have to remember where all the pallets are, or at least the real ones. That way, when you get put to sleep, you don't fall for the trick of dream pallets. I mean, obviously going to be easier said than done. I can see me falling for this quite a bit. They were also talking about something called a dream snare. It was basically something where you put like a trap down, sort of like the hag, and then when the survivor runs over it, they get affected by the what the hell is the effect called when you basically when you just get slowed down quite a bit. I forget exactly what it's called, the hindered effect or whatever it is, when your base speed is reduced drastically. Basically, like if you're caught in the clown's intoxication field, you know, your running speed is slowed down. It probably won't be that severe. Then again, it might be. I don't remember if they said exactly, because they said all of these things can change. They don't know if they want to add both of these things in or just one or the other. So basically, like I said, the survivor walks over the snare, they'll be slowed down while the trap is active, and the effect will linger for a certain amount of time. They didn't specify how long. Like they said, they didn't want to really get into numbers because anything can change as far as specifics, but this is basically the rough draft of definitely what's coming. So our last thing that we have is generator teleport. And this ability basically is allowing Freddy to aim his power at a generator like he used to do with survivors. And I think it was after 4 or 5 seconds, you'll be able to basically just teleport and appear right at that generator. And right before you appear, it basically explodes in blood. So if a survivor's working on it and it starts exploding in blood, expect Freddy to just randomly appear next to you. So basically you'll get a husk of Freddy will appear at the generator just before he teleports, so you'll see him for like a slight second before he's actually there. And he can use this ability during a chase. So if you're kind of far in front of him, you're running towards a generator, he can basically just teleport towards the generator and then cut you off and change direction or whatever he needs to do. Or if somebody's on a generator while he's in a chase, that can be effective too. And I think it's pretty cool that the generator starts spewing blood from it, kind of like in the movie when he dragged the one guy down into the bed and the entire room exploded in blood. He's always been known for blood explosions, so that's kind of cool. Like I said, and when you throw down the illusionary pallets, they explode in blood too. So this is all pretty cool stuff coming for Freddy. Again, I feel like it was kind of needed for him to be a top tier killer. Every time you look at YouTubers or anybody doing a killer tier list, they always have Freddy in the F slot. He's always at the bottom of the list. And it was about time that that changes. They also have other killers at the bottom of the tier list that I don't always agree with, but I understand why they put them there. I definitely understand why Freddy was down there. You know, we'll see what this does for Freddy. I mean, this might possibly, after people get used to it and start learning how to use these abilities, it could make him a top tier killer. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see, especially with the right perks. Could be quite devastating. Speaking of killer tier list, I feel like I might make a video on that soon. Might also make a perk tier list as well for survivors and killers. You know, just an opinion video, you know, maybe like a top 10 or something. I know some people like top 10s just to hear other people's opinions, so I might be making one of those in the near future. So like I said, they're also, you know, reworking stuff in maps as well. We went over that a little bit with the reworking of pallet loops. So that's something, again, I'm excited for, because I don't like to see one giant loop where it's just you're running around the same area over and over again. Like, I swear, every time I play in the preschool, as soon as I find somebody, they instantly run for the preschool. It's almost instantaneous, because it's the longest loop that you can run, especially if you have balanced landing, and you just drop down into the hole where you can run around downstairs in the freaking bowels, running around the pipes and everything, vaulting over that one spot to run back upstairs. You know, it's kind of boring, you know, when you're playing and you just keep running exactly in the same area every single time, because you know it's either safe, and as a killer you know it's going to be a pain in the ass. So I'm really glad to see that again. They're also, I mean, we've been through this before with them. They have said this before, that about hiding totems better. Now this is a big thing for me, because like I said, I play killer more than I do survivor. Not by a whole lot. You know, it depends on what's going on. If I have friends online, I'll play. I don't really like playing solo survivor too much, just because I always get stuck with randoms who farm me off the hook, and I wind up dying either on my first hook because nobody comes to save me, or I wind up dying because I'm getting farmed. That's not always the case, but more times than not, it's been happening a little bit too often lately. But so, like I said, hiding totems. They're talking about making it more difficult to find around the map by putting more value on hex abilities, which good, because hex abilities they are very strong perks. Don't get me wrong. That's why they have a counter to them where you can destroy them. But at the same time, some of the hex or some of the totem spots in this game are absolutely horrendous. There's one on Crotus Pren Asylum where it literally is just in the middle of nothing. There's no grass around it. There's no trees around it. It's just literally in the middle of nothing, where it's just standing there. And sometimes it's a hex totem. I've had plenty of times where it's a hex totem. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put it up. I took a picture of where this totem spot was, and it was the guy's hex totem. And I'm gonna put it up on screen right now. And as you can see, it's literally just in the middle of nowhere. Very easy to spot, not hard at all. One thing I'm hoping for is, one, that they stop putting totems next to generators, because they said they were going to stop putting totems next to generators, but yet here we are, you know, a few months after they originally said they were going to fix these, and I'm seeing totems again right next to generators. So what I'm hoping for is that they keep them not only away from generators, kind of keep them away from hooks. I mean, I know it's not that easy to keep them away from everything. It kind of sucks when you hook a survivor, and then they can just use their camera to view around, and boom, the totem's right in front of them in plain sight. That's kind of annoying. Obviously, they need to change up the usual spots that they're in now. So any spot that they're in right now kind of need to be reworked. I mean, maybe you can keep a few, but a lot of them need to be replaced, because most survivors already know where all the totem spots are on quite a few maps. And also, when you're hiding the totem, please put grass that's taller than the totem. I'm not saying completely engulf the totem where you have to like literally walk up to it to see it, but put a decent amount of grass and some high weeds around the totem, or make the fire not as bright on a totem that's burning, you know, a hex totem. Because, like I said, they are very powerful perks, and they do need to have a counter, but right now, as the game is right now, they are way too easy to find, and more times than not, especially when I'm playing, my hex totem, whether it's Ruin, Devour Hope, whatever, is broken within the first minute of the game. So within the first minute of the game, you've already had one of your perks stripped away from you. And I know there's a lot of complaining, especially from survivors, that the hex totems are overpowered, and then I'm just like, you know what? The hex totems, they are very powerful again, but they're so easy to find that it's ridiculous. And then they say that killers are complaining too much about the totems, but they don't put themselves in the position of, imagine the killer being able to strip away one of your perks within the first minute of the game, where you can. Imagine him having the ability to strip away one of your exhaustion perks, or having the ability to strip away your self-care. That would annoy the shit out of you, especially if it's in the first minute. You know, if somebody breaks my Ruin after, like, you know, 3, 4, 5 minutes, it is what it is. It kind of did its job a little bit. But when it's broken in the first minute, it's super annoying, especially when you spawn on one side of the map and your totem's on the other side of the map, and you can't even get to it in time to protect it. So I'm hoping that they stick to their words about hiding totems better. So we'll find out as time goes on. I have faith in these guys. You know, the 3-year anniversary video last night did make me feel good about the future of this game. So I'm gonna try and, you know, give them the benefit of the doubt that all of these things are gonna happen, and for the most part make me and most of the community happy. So the next thing we got was removing hostage locations. So basically what this was spots on the map where especially Claudettes would try to hide. Like there's this next to like a T-wall or whatever, there'd be this one area where there'd always be a totem in there too, where you can like kind of crawl into the wall, and there'd be like 2 corners that you can hide in. But if you were hiding in there and you got caught by the killer, especially if it was a hillbilly or a Leatherface, he would see you in there, and then he would just basically walk in there with you, and then you're fucked. There was no way to get out. You were trapped. You were basically body blocked, which is the body blocking that is reportable, not like some of the survivors who messaged me after I played Survivor and I body blocked the hook. That's not illegal. Body blocking the hook, body blocking as a survivor period, is not illegal because the killer can just easily smack you and get out of there. Body blocking as a killer, however, if you're body blocking somebody in a corner and you just refuse to move and refuse to hit them, that's what's reportable, and that's what they're trying to get away from. So instead of having these spots where, like I said, you can get stuck in a corner, and God forbid it's a hillbilly or or Leatherface, where he's basically going to just block you in the corner and then whip out his chainsaw and insta down you. Apparently they're getting rid of most of these spots, so now if a killer comes up on you, he can't body block you no more, where you can't move. Kind of like what they're doing with the basement rework, where the killer used to be able to just kind of hold the game hostage somewhat, where especially if there was multiple survivors in the basement, he can just sit at the stairs and pretty much block anybody from getting out until you were hit. Then obviously you can run through them, but if you're injured and you get hit, obviously you're going down if you don't have borrowed time or Metal of Man. And if it was God forbid it was a Leatherface, he can just keep swinging his chainsaw down somebody, and then, you know, I used to do it too, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, and then, you know, just moonwalk backwards back up the stairs so that the other survivors couldn't push through after your chainsaw was done, and you can just rev it up again and just continue the process over and over. I've had this happen to me as a survivor, and I'm not going to lie, I've done it as a killer. You know, you got people trapped down there, you didn't want to be trapped in the basement with a Leatherface. That's all I got to say. You still don't want to be, but at least now it's a little bit easier to get out since you can't block the stairs completely. Unless you're playing on Haddonfield, because that basement is still not right. You can still definitely body block people on the stairs there. So they said they're going to remove these locations. I don't mind it. I mean, I've used them, obviously. Everybody's used them as a killer, especially if you're a hillbilly or a Leatherface. I've never used it to take the game hostage. I've just used it to block them so I can get an easy insta down. At the same time, though, it's not like the survivors don't know that these spots existed, so when they put themselves in those spots, it's kind of on them if they get caught. And I'm looking at you, Claudette, especially you P3 Claudettes, always hiding in those little corners and getting yourself trapped. Also, new map tiles. So, like I said, that's going to be different layouts of basically the same maps that we already have, which I'm excited for. So, like I said, it won't just be the preschool. The preschool was just the one example that they had. So, basically, you're still going to have all the same stuff on the map. It's just going to be laid out differently, which is fine with me. Because, you know, you get tired of playing the same exact layout over and over and over again. Not to mention, you know, there's 4 different versions of, you know, Cold Wind, which is nice. There's like multiple versions of Macmillan Estate. There's basically only one version of the game. They should probably add another version of it just so, because that map's been exactly the same forever, and most people hate it. So it's nice to see reworks or redoing the map layouts of maps that already exist, because, like I said, it gets kind of boring playing the same map over and over again. It's always fun when you have something new to learn and do. And plus, you know, we got the new maps that are obviously going to be coming out with each chapter. So I'm excited for it. And also, there's also going to be something called a relaunch. So every time a map is going to get a new update, players should, they said, expect the map to be featured more in your matches, at least for the first few days, just to highlight what the changes are. So say they rework, we'll just go with the preschool. They're going to rework the preschool. You might see the preschool more times than you'd like, just because they want you to play it multiple times so that you can experience the changes, see all the changes, and I guess start to learn the changes and learn how to, you know, learn all the new loops, you know, and the whole thing with the changing the map and changing the whole loop thing is it makes it more skill based and more mind games. Instead, like I said, instead of just running around the same, you know, 15-20 second loop over and over again. And now there'll be smaller loops and it'll be more skill based, more mind gaming. So it's going to be the first one to make a mistake is going to be the one that pays, whether it's the killer or the survivor. So like I said, I like these changes. I think it's one of the better things that they mentioned. And I'm excited to see where they go with it. So obviously we got Chapter 12 coming, June 18th. Ghostface. I'm not gonna lie, I'm super excited about this, man. I mean, I know I might sound kind of corny saying that, but really I am. I've been looking forward to a Ghostface killer since I started playing the game. And I like licensed killers, man. I know a lot of people don't like licensed killers. I personally do. I'm not saying I want all the killers to be licensed. Obviously, that would be silly, because I like some of the new concepts and the creative ideas that come from the developers and all these people on their team that, you know, design the killers, come up with their powers and stuff, like the Plague, you know, the Hag, you know, just all the basic, you know, all the killers that we have in the game that are just original ideas. I think it's fantastic stuff. But I also think that licensed killers is very important to the game's life cycle. The more licensed killers you have, the more it is going to bring in other players to play the game. So they're going to be like, oh shit, man, this game's got Ghostface. I love Ghostface. You know, Scream's my favorite horror movie. Let me give this game a try. Oh, this game's got Michael Myers in it. I love the Halloween series. Let me give this game a try. One killer I'm hoping for that I know we're probably never going to see, because he has his own game, is Jason. I would like to see Jason in the game just because Friday the 13th is basically a dead game right now. I would like them to somehow, one day, try to pull the rights for Jason and get a Jason into the game. Will we ever see it? Most likely, no. But it would be cool to see Jason in the game. If I had to choose the next licensed killer I'd want to see after Ghostface, would probably be... I'd probably want to go with Hellraiser or Pinhead, just because I think it'd be really cool to see what they do as far as his powers go. He's creepy looking. You know, he's got his 2 or 3 goons that he has with him. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I don't remember how many goons he has with him. That female one, and then he had the one that looked like fucking had that grotesque face. I don't know what the hell it was, whether it was like a grotesque looking pig or whatever, and they would be like his little freaking you know, associates that he would run around with. Plus, it would be interesting to see what his perks would be, like I said, his add-ons, his powers. And I think he would be quite terrifying to go against, because he just looks kind of creepy. with his pale face and the pins coming out of his face. Another one I wouldn't mind seeing. I don't know how they would do it, but it would be interesting if they added in. Would be like something like Chucky. Like I said, I don't know how they would do it, but if they can make it work somehow in the future and add it, it would be cool, because Chucky is one of my favorite killers. There's new Child's Play coming out in like a month, a whole reboot, and then they have the whole TV series that's going to finish off the original. So I am a huge Chucky fan, so I wouldn't mind seeing that. So we'll see what happens, but like I said, if I had to choose one, it would be Hellraiser to be the next one. But right now we're talking about Ghostface, so let's talk about his main ability. It's called Night Shroud, and this is basically a full stealth ability. You know, pretty much what we have already with the pig, who goes into some stealth mode by crouching around, which he has no terror radius, and then you got Michael Myers, who's stealth based as well, whereas Tier 1 basically has no terror radius. His Tier 2 has a very reduced terror radius, where he can sneak up on you and stalk you without you knowing. That's basically what he does here. He basically stalks people as well as Michael. So, explaining it how they explained it, when Ghostface goes into his ability, his terror radius is basically reduced to nothing, and he'll move at his normal speed, and he also will not have his red stain, which would make him much harder to detect. So you won't see his red stain. Like, you can still see Michael's red stain when he's in Tier 1 and he's, you know, coming up. You'll see the red stain. You just won't hear his ass, or you won't hear a terror radius. So it's a little bit harder for him to stalk. So this one will be easier to stalk, but also not only does he not have the red stain, but he can also like lean around corners and peek. So I think there was one clip where I seen where it was basically just Ghostface like creeping to the left, where all you seen was his mask peeking around a corner, which is kind of creepy. So basically he can just do that instead of having to fully reveal his entire body. And when his ability is active, if he stalks you as a survivor for for 4 seconds, he can what they called mark you. And when he marks you, it leaves you vulnerable basically to where you're in the exposed status effect. So if you get hit once, you're going down. Luckily this doesn't last forever, obviously. It only lasts 20 seconds. So if you can outrun the killer for 20 seconds, obviously that power is going to end and he will no longer be able to instant down you without stalking you again. And I don't think, I don't know if they said, well, I don't think his stalk ever runs out. Like Michael can stalk a survivor where he can't stalk them anymore. I don't think that's the case with Ghostface. I think he can stalk you endlessly. But like I said, or what I'm about to get into is, as a survivor, you can counter this. So apparently, if you're on a generator, I suppose, and he's stalking you from somewhere, and you're looking directly at him for I think 1 second, then his power is canceled. I believe that's what it is. I had to look here in my notes. Yeah, so yeah, as I said, when you're playing a survivor, you'll be able to deactivate his ability if you spot him. I think it's for at least 1 second. So if you only spot him for like a quick second, you don't even notice it, I don't think it'll cancel it. I don't know exactly how this works. I don't know if you have to be, the camera has to be pretty level with him. Like, I don't know if it works where he's stalking you and like he's only at the, you know, the right part of your screen where you don't even see him. I don't know if it counts then, but if you spot him, however that's going to work, it will cancel out his ability where he will not be able to mark you, and he will have to start over, and his power will get a cooldown. Thank God, because that would be a little bit crazy if he could just go around doing it consistently. So he has 3 perks, obviously, which every killer comes with. Let's go over these perks real quick. So we got the first one, which is called I'm All Ears. Basically, if a survivor performs a rushed action, like a quick vault or running into a locker while sprinting, he'll get, not only will he get a notification like normal, but he'll be able to see that survivor's aura for 6 seconds. I don't know if this is in tier 1 where it's 6 seconds, or if it's tier 3 in 6 seconds. Maybe it's 6, 7, 8 seconds, or 4, 5, 6. I don't know. We'll have to wait until it's all released, and I know the PTB is getting released on June 4th for PC. I don't play on PC, obviously. I play on PS4, so I will have to wait until June 18th like everybody else and just have to watch videos in order to find out ahead of time. Our second perk is called Thrilling Tremors. So when you pick up a down survivor, or if you grab them like off a generator, you will lock any generators that are not being worked on by a survivor for 16 seconds. All of the generators, obviously, that are affected by this will be highlighted in white instead of red for the duration of the 16 seconds, basically allowing the killer to see which generators were being worked on or could still possibly be being worked on by other survivors. So if they're highlighted in red still, then you know either a survivor was on it when you picked up the guy or they're still on it right now. If they're highlighted in white, you don't really have to worry about them. I don't know how it works if they're highlighted in white and during that 16 seconds a survivor jumps on that generator. I don't know if it instantly turns to red. I don't think it does. I think it would be kind of cool if it did. So if it's in white and then you see it just turn to red, you know somebody just hopped on it if the 16-second timer hasn't run out. So not a bad perk. These first two perks are not bad. The one that I'm most excited about is this third one, called Furtive Chase. It's an obsession perk, obviously, as they said. So if you hook your obsession, you gain a token. Obviously, you can gain up to 4 tokens. Well, you can get up to 4 tokens if you have it in Tier 3. I think Tier 1 is obviously 2. Tier 2 is 3. Tier 3 is 4. Same thing as like barbecue and chili. And so once you hook your obsession, that person that was the obsession is no longer the obsession, and the obsession gets changed to somebody else at random. So you can't just keep hooking the same person. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to hook the same person 4 times, so it would be kind of hard to get the 4 tokens. So once you hook that person, the obsession becomes somebody else. You can do this until you get up to 4 tokens, and for each token that you get, your terror radius is reduced by 4 meters. So you can have your terror radius reduced up to 16 meters in total. And I can't even tell you, like I said, I don't know how Ghostface works, so I don't know. I'm sure it's going to work great on him too, but I can't even tell you how many builds I'm going to try to make with Michael using this perk. He already has no terror radius, so imagine him moving at base speed in Tier 2 with basically no terror radius. What's his terror radius in Tier 2? 16 meters? 24 meters? So he would have like a Tier 1 terror radius basically in Tier 2. And if you have monitor and abuse on, God forbid, you're basically going to have no terror radius in Tier 2. It's pretty vicious, man. And I'm a Michael main, so I was very excited to hear about this perk. Not only that, but it also works for other killers as well who have a bigger terror radius and you want to sneak up on them. So I can see a lot of people using monitor and abuse and this perk in combination to drastically reduce their terror radius and sneak up on people quite a bit. Other killers that it could work on, obviously Freddy. He already has a small terror radius as it is to begin with. It could work pretty well on somebody like Leatherface, where he could also have the silent or the quieter chainsaw. So by the time you realize he's even coming, he can start revving up his chainsaw, maybe get a quick hit on you. I don't know, we'll see how it is, but like I said, out of all 3 of these perks, Furtive Chase is by far the best one in my opinion. I am very, very excited for it. So a few other things before we go. Quick other things that I wrote down that they mentioned. I might have missed something. I don't remember if I missed, if I caught everything that was important. I tried to catch as much as I could, but I was trying to enjoy watching it as much as taking down notes. So we got the friend queue. So if you're in a Survivor Friends, players playing in a Survivor Friends will be able to stay in a group together, rather than consistently having to re-invite everybody after a game, especially if a killer DCs from a lobby and then you have to go and re-invite everybody, and it's super annoying. So I'm glad that they're adding this in, because it's really annoying and it wastes some time to keep re-inviting everybody. So it's nice to see that they're just going to keep everybody in the same lobby. That way you don't have, or keep everybody in the same group. That way you don't have to keep redoing it every single game. They also said there's 2 maps coming out in the 4th year, so I'm excited to see what's going on with that. And they also said there will be a huge overhaul of visual updates. They also said the way the dream world looks will look different when players are asleep. They didn't specify how it will work. They said it's still a work in progress. They're still working on it and whatnot. And also there is another Double Blood Points weekend coming up between June 14th and June 18th, which I'm always excited for because I love Double Blood Points. When Double Blood Points is going on, I freaking play like crazy. That's how I've gotten some of my killers up recently. And I'm right now I am currently working on the doctor because I want to make some doctor builds. I might have a Huntress video coming soon, but I've not been doing very good with the Huntress lately. Like, my hatchet throws are absolutely awful. I don't know what's going on with them. And yeah, and I also want to start making some Survivor videos, because I know some people don't always play killer, and they want to see some survivor builds. And there's a few ideas I've had in mind that I want to try out. But like I said, when I make builds, I kind of want to test them out before I play with them. To, one, make sure that I'm any good using it, and two, to make sure it actually works. Because some of the ones I've done are based on things that I've heard from other people, and then sometimes I'll throw a little bit something different in it, my twist, whether it's different add-ons or one different perk here and there, or on a different killer. But also, like I said, I want to make sure that they work. I don't want to just randomly do it and think it works in my head, and then I go to use it in game and it's absolutely freaking terrible. So that's why sometimes it takes me a while to release a video. I like to thoroughly check to make sure these work, and then sometimes when I'm thoroughly checking, I don't always have enough add-ons to thoroughly check and then make a video, where I go to make a video and they're not good games and I lose those add-ons. So that's why sometimes it takes me a little bit. Let me make sure I went over everything here. Let me go back up to so let me bring up the year 4 roadmap one more time real quick. So like I said, chapter 12 is June 18th. 6 weeks after that is the Freddy rework, the preschool rework. Chapter 13 comes with the new killer, new survivor, new map. Then after that, the archive. And 6 weeks after that, we got another new chapter with a new killer and maybe a new survivor. I don't know, or it could just be one or the other, kind of like what we had with Ash. 6 weeks after that, we'll get the archive, so that'll be sometime about 6 weeks after that. We'll get a new archive, a new rift and everything, and another map rework. Then following that, well, obviously we get a chapter 15. Usually when it comes with a new map, we get a killer, survivor, and a map. So I'm guessing that new chapter 14, since it's not coming with a new map, it might not come with survivor and a killer. It might just come with one or the other. I don't know yet. We'll find out. And then the last thing on the list is obviously another archive and a rift. So, like I said, real quick, this is definitely the last thing. So I just noticed it right here on the bottom. So you can see on the bottom it has gameplay balancing. We got dedicated servers, which is something I'm very excited about, especially when I'm playing a survivor. Not so much as killer, because my connection's always good, but when I'm playing a survivor, sometimes I'll see, the ping is in the green, it's at like 60, and then all of a sudden, right before the game starts, it just jumps up to like 370, and it's in the red, and then I start lagging all over the place, rubber banding, and the killer's taking advantage of this, and we're just getting wrecked left and right. So I'm glad to see that dedicated servers hopefully will be coming very soon, where they're working completely like they should be. So again, I'm very excited about that. Also, matchmaking. They're changing up the algorithm, so there's going to be an algorithm improvement, and hopefully we'll be able to find games much quicker. So I'm excited about that, man, because sometimes a survivor, especially if you're playing with a 4-man SWF and you have your one friend who doesn't play that often, he's like rank 19 survivor, you play all the time, you're like rank 7 or rank 6 or lower. And then you have another one that's rank 12, somebody else who's rank 15, and it's all over the place. It takes sometimes quite a while to find a game, and then sometimes you feel kind of bad because you're like a rank 5 survivor, you're pretty good at the game, and then your friend's the rank 20, and then you get matched up with like a rank 18 killer who has one perk and one add-on and has no idea what he's doing. So hopefully they fix all that. Apparently there's going to be a rank rework. I don't remember exactly what they said about that, so we'll find out. And then last but not least, there's going to be a Switch version coming and a mobile version coming. I'm kind of excited about the mobile version to see how it works out, because like I said, I haven't been attached to a game like this in quite some time. So I'm excited to see what the mobile version brings. That way I can play it when I'm at work on break, or wherever I might be where I'm not at home and I feel like playing a little Dead by Daylight. I just hope that you're able, in the mobile version, I wish they would make it like this for whatever you do. So if you switch from PS4 to PC, or PC to Xbox, or Xbox to PC, or Xbox to PS4, PS4 to Switch, PS4 to mobile, Xbox to mobile, whatever it is, I wish they would make it where you can transfer, you had instead of having just your PS4 account, it was like a behavior account, kind of like what Epic does with Fortnite, where you can take your Epic account from Fortnite, from PS4, and go over to PC and keep everything that you already have on the PS4. I wish they would do that with Dead by Daylight. So if we go over and play the mobile version, I hope we don't have to play from the beginning again. I wish I can bring over all my killers, all my perks, yada yada yada, all my blood points. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I hope they implement it one day. but we'll just have to wait and see. As far as what I thought about this anniversary special, I thought it was great. I enjoyed it. The live band was cool. You know, they asking pretty much a bunch of the right questions. I liked the little small interviews they had with the devs where they were sitting on the stool and everything and talking to them. The one chick was talking about the user interface and changing up, you know, the user interface and making it more easily accessible and not confusing in any way. I enjoyed it overall. I think the future of Dead by Daylight is looking pretty bright. I'm pretty excited. I hope that eventually they add stuff like leaderboards and stuff like that. I think that would add some stuff, some excitement to the game. But what they did announce, I enjoyed. And yeah, man, we'll find out June 18th just how good Ghostface is. Well, at least I will. Everybody, some people on PC will find out what it's like earlier. But again, he might get reworked between then and the official release. So like I said, I'm excited about it. We'll see how it is. Everything starts off with the Ghostface release and how we're gonna kick off this year 4 of Dead by Daylight. And yeah, man, that's all I got for you guys. And until I make another video, I'll talk to you guys then. You guys have a great night. Peace out.